In this next video, we're going to take a look at virtual staging. If we come up here to edit, you can see it says virtual staging right in the middle. This is where we can take a photograph and restage the interior. This is a really neat process. This is an actual photograph. Let's say that we like the room, but we want to test out what the room looks like with different furniture and different arrangements and so on. So we first need to remove a bunch of things before we can do the virtual staging. So this is where we're going to come over to the remove objects function, and then we're going to load that image. So we'll go to upload image, and we'll go ahead and open that up. Okay, so what we need to do now is just basically paint over the things that we want to remove. So we come over here to the brush and you just start painting over things that you want to remove so that we basically leave the basic room by itself. Now make sure and paint over shadow areas too, so it knows to consider that. Then we just come in and basically all of this stuff in the background we remove. I'm going to remove this clock right here, and we'll leave everything that we want to keep in the room. Now we could also switch over here to, say, the polygon tool. We've got some very sort of obvious polygonal features, so we could do that. That's one way. And then switch back over here to the paintbrush and then just get the more organic bits that we want to remove. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a generation now. You're noticing that I'm leaving the carpet because I actually think it would be good to leave the carpet. And let's go ahead and click done. And there we go. So it's all appeared there. And I'm leaving the bookshelf. I'd kind of like to have that there. So then we just click generate. And its entire purpose of this mode is to remove the objects and reconstruct the scene based on everything surrounding it. And there we go. So now we basically have a clean slate that we can take in and to start putting in the objects that we want to have in the scene. So then we come back up here to edit, and then we come over to virtual staging. So if you remember, this edit area is designed to work with the existing scene, change parts of it, and then keep other parts of it. Whereas when you're in create is really going to be replacing every pixel in the scene. So let's come back over to virtual staging, and you can see, just take note of this in the user interface. We're looking really here at this newest image, but this area over here, it kept the image that we just had. So you specifically have to tell it to take this newly generated image and move it over here. So for instance, let's close that out, and we will come and select from the previous creation, which is this newest version right there, and then we confirm to load that in. And there we go. So that's ready to process. So now we just need to give it the prompt. Here's a prompt I've developed. Rustic interior with modern furniture, warm and inviting ambience, plush earth-toned couches and chairs, a large leafed houseplant with wicker potting near the corner of the room, several throw blankets on the couch, etc. So you can really give it a nice description, and then we generate. So again, its purpose is to infuse the room with these elements we're describing, but to also try and keep the room as much as possible as a framing for what it's putting in. And there we go. So this is the first generation that it did. And test them out. It's always a good idea to do a few of them to see what it gives you. So let's do one more generation to see what we get. There's the next one, and let's do just one more to get a variety that we can work with. And so there we go. So it's fun to play with these and to get a sense for what's going on. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about is maybe the input quality of the image that we're working with right here isn't super great, and maybe we'd like it to regenerate the room to give us a better starting point. So that's what we'll do next. So let's switch over now to create, because we want to regenerate the source image that we've been working with, and we're going to come over to image to render. Image to render will take an input image and it will regenerate it based off an input that you're giving it. put that original image in because it's what we started with. And so we're going to come over now and I'm just going to delete the prompt. And what I want to do is instead of me trying to describe this, we're going to have the prompt assistant do this for us. And what it's going to do is it's going to actually analyze this existing scene right here, and it's going to give us a prompt that will then feed back into the system. So we're looking at sort of a two-pronged approach right here. It's going to be regenerating this based on the image and the prompt that it's generated for us. Now we want to try and maintain the color strength and the shapes. So I'm just kind of bringing these up higher. We're still giving it a little bit of latitude, but we're telling it that we really kind of like this. So keep a lot of it and then give it a little bit of leeway and latitude to make creative adjustments from that, and we generate. Okay, there we go. So every pixel was regenerated in this to give us something new. Part of the original image had a lot of JPEG compression and artifacts, and yeah, I didn't like it so much. So this is kind of regenerated from scratch. So let's not spend too much more time trying to regenerate here, but let's go ahead and start going back through the staging process. But what I'd like to do in order to do that is to give it just a little bit higher resolution data to work with. So these initial generations that it does are like 1300K by about 800K. And let's go up and do an upscale here. So if we come over here, we can you can see there are controls right here. These are related specifically to this image. We can come over and say upscale image, upscale and enhance. And in this case, it's going to default to 2K. So this is good. We're going to give it an intermediate resolution. We don't necessarily want to go all the way to 4K. It's like going to be a little bit overkill, but I do want to maintain the image. Again, I like to go up to the 70% range. So we're really telling it to try and honor the image and make some creative decisions. And texture, I don't want it to impart too much texture. So we're going to take that down pretty far, and then we generate. And this will become the next stage for what we do. Okay, so it's generated something that's a little bit higher resolution. So now let's come back over here to edit and let's do virtual staging again. And in this particular case, we need to clear what was there because that was the previous generation. So let's come back over here to select previous generation to bring in this latest image, 2K image that it's generated for us. We're just giving it higher quality data to work with. And there we go. Now the prompt, it held over from the previous set of operations we had been doing over here in virtual staging. And that's perfect. That's what we want. So we're just going to go ahead and generate with our newly updated backdrop image. And there we go. So there's the first iteration. Let's go ahead and generate a couple more just to see the variations that it comes up with. But I'm liking this. So there's another variation. So at this point, I'm going to declare this good. I just wanted to show you what the process of virtual staging is and how you can use several of the tools in Envizia to support that feature.